Hello, listeners, and welcome to today's Cult News. I'm your speaker, Casey, and for this instalment, I will be bringing you the final updates from week 6 of the Lori Vallow Daybell trial. First of all, I wanted to apologise for continuously calling Lori Daybell by her former husband's last name, as the Vallows have expressed an interest in distancing themselves from Lori's awful legacy, which includes her being titled Lori Vallow. As she's now married to Chad Daybell, we should of course consider using this name to address Lori Daybell, and that is what I plan to do going forward. What a wild week in court, and what a way to round up this trial. Since the bodies of Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow were found almost 2 years ago on June 6, 2021, we've been wondering how this case would wind up, and now we know. We started week 6 with retired FBI Special Agent Douglas Hart taking the stand, and he testified for the entire day. This was the longest testimony of the entire trial, with Hart breaking down what was found on Lori's iCloud accounts. There were important interactions between Lori, Chad, and Alex, with lots of sexual texts between Lori and Chad, and Lori asking whether her kids' dark ratings had reached 0 yet, meaning that they would be ready to die. EMTs were called in during the week to see to Larry Woodcock, JJ's grandfather, who needed medical attention during the week but was feeling better by the end. Prosecution rested their case on Wednesday, with the defense informing the judge that they do not believe the prosecution had proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt, and so they would not be calling any witnesses to testify in Lori's defense. Lori Daybell enacted on her right not to testify at her own trial, and with that, both legal parties were ready for closing arguments. Judge Boyce went over some important indictment issues and legal clerical errors with some of the paperwork, and was then ready to give jury instructions on how the 18 jurors would proceed. Out of the 18 jurors, only 12 would be going into deliberations, and 6 random jurors would be sent home. Originally, there were 6 alternates picked to fill in for any jurors who may have to leave for personal reasons, family issues, health, and so on. But no jurors left, and no alternates stepped in, so the closing arguments proceeded with all 18 jurors. Closing arguments proceeded with Rob Wood for the prosecution, laying out a timeline of events and why the jury must find Lori Daybell guilty on all 6 charges, those being the conspiracy to commit the murder of Tylee Ryan, and the first-degree murder of Tylee Ryan, conspiracy to commit the murder of JJ Vallow, and the first-degree murder of JJ Vallow, the conspiracy to commit the murder of Tammy Daybell, and grand theft. The defense took the route of claiming that Chad Daybell was responsible for leading Lori astray and that his books were stupid. After closing arguments and a lunch break, Lori Daybell was seen crying at the defense table with her attorneys attempting to support her. It was later said that Lori Daybell was upset with her attorneys for calling Chad Daybell's books stupid. On Thursday afternoon, 6 jurors' numbers were pulled from a hat, and those randomly selected jurors were told that they could go home. The 12 remaining jurors were sent to deliberate. By Friday mid-morning, a verdict had been reached. At 12:45, a verdict was live read on international television, streamed from the courthouse, with Lori Daybell dressed in black, arms folded across her chest, a stoic expression on her face. The judge read the verdict, handed it to the courtroom clerk, who read the verdicts aloud for the courtroom. Lori Noreen Daybell was found guilty on all 6 charges. The jury were asked one at a time if this was an accurate, unanimous representation of their agreed verdict, and one by one they each stood and said, "Yes, Your Honour," with strong conviction. Lori Noreen Daybell is now convicted of murdering her 2 children, conspiring to murder Tammy Daybell, and for the grand theft of Social Security money belonging to her deceased children that she continued to receive and spend after knowing her children were no longer alive. She was convicted on the weekend before Mother's Day celebrations. Her sentencing is due to take place in 3 months or so, where Kay and Larry Woodcock, along with others, will be given a chance to read impact statements face-to-face with Lori. And then the Maricopa County Attorney's Office made a statement to say that they have reviewed submitted charges for matters involving Lori Vallow that occurred in Chandler, Arizona on July 11th, 2019 and Gilbert, Arizona on October the 2nd, 2019, MCAO has made the state of Idaho aware of our intent to prosecute the defendant in Arizona for charges stemming from these submittals. So it seems as though Lori Daybell will be extradited to Arizona at some point to stand trial for the alleged manslaughter but probable homicide of her former husband, Charles Vallow, who was shot supposedly in self-defense by Lori Daybell's now deceased brother, Alex Cox, who is also believed to be extremely complicit in the murders of Lori's children, JJ and Tylee. The Cox and Shiflett families released a statement to the press saying, "We want to thank each person that has offered kindness, support and prayers on behalf of our family and the other victims' families. That support is deeply felt and appreciated. We sincerely appreciate the time and dedication of the jury in this case. We also appreciate all the time and effort that dedicated law enforcement attorneys and Judge Boyce has taken to adjudicate this case. We acknowledge countless hours put into this case and also time away from their families. We thank you. We fully accept the determined decision in our justice system. We understand this is just one step towards justice for our beloved victims in this case. Despite today's verdict, we are left with our grief and sorrow over the loss of Tylee and JJ, who are irreplaceable. Our family will always feel this loss and we will never be the same. We will continue to honour their memories to the best of our ability. We send our deepest sympathy to Tammy's family and Charles's family, who have been also devastated by the loss of Tammy and Charles, who are also irreplaceable. We share your grief and offer our heartfelt prayers for healing for all who have been hurt by these horrific crimes. We hope this outcome could offer you a measure of peace and comfort. We will continue to firmly put our faith in Jesus Christ and seek for his mercy and grace for all of those involved." This came from Lori Daybell's extended family, including her sister, her mother, and her last living child. Parents of Tammy Daybell also released a statement saying, "What a beautiful day to receive the news of Lori's convictions. Thank you to everyone that had a part in bringing the truth to light. We are especially grateful to the detectives, the jury, Judge Boyce, and the prosecution team. We thank you for your tireless efforts. We will move forward with renewed energy and faith that justice will be fully served. We anticipate next steps will be swift resolution of the case at hand. We share this victory with the Vallow Woodcock family and their precious JJ and Tylee. Thank you to the many prayers sent from people all around the world. We feel them and they lift us up." And lastly, Brandon Boudreau's family issued a statement following the Vallow Daybell guilty verdict, which is poignant because Brandon Boudreau was also a potential victim of Alex Cox when Alex Cox showed up to his house one day and attempted to shoot him. The statement reads, "We are very grateful to all who have been involved in this and corresponding cases over the past several years and who will continue to be involved until all those responsible have been given their chance in our judicial process. We want to express gratitude for the effort and time spent by so many to bring forward the truth. Our judicial process can't bring back loved ones, nor can it heal those left behind missing them. We will choose to lean on our faith for healing and express gratitude to the jury of our peers who had to face those horrible things to bring about resolution. We recognize that people are not inherently good or evil. It's what makes these tragic events so much harder for those of us who were all affected by these crimes. While we do not glory in any conviction, we recognize the importance of holding accountable those who would commit such terrible atrocities. Tylee and JJ will forever be missed. They are precious and unique and will always be loved. We mourn the loss of them. We also mourn Charles, as many have seen. He was truly a good man. He was always quick to make all feel welcome and never let anyone go without. He was quick to spoil his family. He is missed every day. We wish all of you could have known the good times our families shared. Disney, beaches, football games, and holidays are treasured memories. As we have watched silently while complete strangers rally for justice, we thank you for standing for truth. We mourn with the Daybell and Douglas families. We never met Tammy Daybell, but she and you have been in our most sincere prayers. We can't imagine the pain of your loss, and we hope that this process might help with healing and closure. Lastly, many people have been involved in these events, some by choice and others perhaps not. Regardless of how they are involved, we encourage all to consider that this world is already so full of divisiveness. We advocate for forgiveness and privacy where possible. We live by the hope that the worst part of our lives does not become who we are. We do not condone nor encourage less prosecution for those accountable, but instead encourage true change and accountability for those involved. We hope for sincere forgiveness for those affected, that they might not carry the burden of hatred with the pain of loss. Larry and Kay Woodcock took to the media outside of the courthouse to express their gratitude after the guilty verdicts came in. They thanked the jury, the prosecution, the judge, and law enforcement, as well as their appreciation to the defense, explaining that they know the defense are just trying to do their job. They talked about their love for JJ and Tylee and their respects for Tammy Daybell. I am sure there will be so much more to cover in this story yet, but it was a relief to see this verdict come in for all of those who have been impacted. Thank you to Nate Eaton for your continued and vigorous reporting on this case. I will bring you more updates when we have them, such as trial dates and sentencing information, but that is the end of today's Cult News, signing out with a thought for Tammy Daybell, Tylee Ryan, JJ Vallow, and Charles Vallow. I'm your speaker, Casey, host of the Cult Vault podcast.